You know what you should do? You should follow me on Twitter at Bromo018. Link in the description. Do it now. Today, we round off our Master League wishlist for Pro Evolution Soccer 2020 with part 4 of the mini-series. We've covered a whole range of different improvements that I'd like to see implemented into the game mode during the first 3 parts. And if you haven't seen those videos, then make sure you go and check out those ones before coming on to this one. Today, I'm going to be putting forward just some of the suggestions that have been put forward by you guys in the comment section. But before that, there is one more area that I want to go through in this video. So, if you're ready, then let's begin. Just a quick notice to say that earlier this week, my FIFA 19 Realistic Ajax Career Mode series began on the channel. So if you fancy delving into a series after this one, then make sure you go and check that out. Now, we move on to part 4 of the wishlist, and before we get into your suggestions, I did miss out one topic in the previous videos that needs some attention. At the end of part 3, we discussed a new feature for player and board interaction. We talked about how you would be able to talk to your players under different circumstances with a wide variety of dialogue options, which could then lead on to different things. Well, that leads very nicely into today's topic, storylines. Storylines really carries the essence of the footballing world and gaming in general. It will help to create a narrative which will entice the player more because the world has become a more active universe. Stories might carry over throughout the season and the entire save. Maybe you've had a training ground spat with a player or an argument during a meeting, and as a result, the media have picked up on it and either his performances are dropping or you aren't even picking him in the team. A real life example of this would perhaps be something similar to the Mourinho and Pogba situation back when Mourinho was manager of Manchester United. The media carried that story for months and months, even leaking training ground footage of the two having an argument out in the open. This is the sort of thing I want to see Master League delve into. An actual simulation of not just football, but the football universe as a whole. This is what is going to help you really undertake the role of the manager and have to pay attention to even the smallest details in order to keep your squad happy and therefore winning. With this, you'll see constant news articles discussing the situation. Perhaps what the media is reporting is wrong, but they'll still post it anyway, because that's how it works. All of it will perhaps cause further discontent amongst either the players, yourself, the board, or the fans. These are the sort of situations in which a manager has to deal with in order to maintain the status quo at the club, and I would absolutely love to see that represented in PES. The commentators will talk about ongoing storylines during the games and further add fuel to the fire. This would all help to create those storylines and keep them running should they need to. It doesn't have to be dissent from a player either. Maybe you want to leave the club and the board won't allow it. Or you want more funds and the board are refusing to give you any. Perhaps some players in the squad have had a spat and it has caused some unrest amongst the dressing room. Those are just a couple of examples of where Konami could take this. So that's it for all of my suggestions. Let me know what you think about the Storylines edition in the comments section. Now we move on to the comments I got from you guys in the previous videos. Thank you to everyone that contributed. I've picked out just a few of the suggestions that we had in. So let's begin. First off, we begin with Diego's suggestion, where he talks about the CPU goalkeeper issue. I have actually found this to be a real problem, but forgot to mention it. Regularly on my Rangers Master League series, we would find that the opposition team is playing their backup goalkeeper. This is a strange bug that has never really been addressed. For a game that is marketed on realism, that's not a great selling point, so let's get that one fixed. Next, we move on to James's comment where he talks about the lack of AI transfer activity. This is actually a really good one and something that I hadn't thought of. There's a real lack of transfers going in and out of each club. This is something that needs to be addressed. Clubs are generally very active during the transfer market, and the summer one in particular. Some teams in Master League will barely make one per season. How are they meant to improve if they aren't going to be active within the transfer window? Then you just have a situation where the rest of the clubs around you stagnate because of this, whilst you as the player might be making quite a few transfers. Now we move on to ID, who had quite a few suggestions, but a couple that I didn't speak about during the mini-series was one, that the value of a player needs to skyrocket in certain situations. This I can totally get behind. If it's a young player that has had a breakout season and has shown a lot of potential, all of a sudden you might find that the player's value is going to reach obscene levels and you're going to have to pay the big bucks to get him. This is something we don't really see replicated in Master League. You're able to sign players for much cheaper than perhaps you probably would in real life, and therefore it isn't a realistic representation of how it works. The other point is how we don't hear about the sackings of other managers or the appointments of other managers. This is something that would add to my storyline suggestions at the start of the video. Master League first needs to acknowledge that there are actually other managers in the game. The thing is, you don't even need licensed managers. Just implement the genetic ones. It all adds to the manager merry-go-round that is such a big part of football these days. And it leads into the decisions that you make, because it may add more pressure to your job, or you may see an opening become available for a different club that you would like to apply for. Ross Burnside also had a suggestion that led on from the whole storyline feature about the crowd and how they don't really generate an atmosphere in-game. Derby games should be louder than the rest and more intense. Perhaps players that transferred away from that club during your Master League save left on bad terms and get booed by the fans of his old club. These are all small touches, but yet vital to making the Master League experience a realistic one. Now we have Ellis's comment where, although not really a Master League specific suggestion, it's still worth mentioning. He talks about Konami now moving into the African market. They already have Europe, Asia and South America represented in the game, but are yet to have an African section. This is something that I can get behind. It's fair to say that EA also haven't really tampered with this market much either than a couple of South African teams, which seems a bit strange to me. Say what you will, but it is a massive market in Africa that is yet to be addressed, and it's certainly there for the taking. You could start with just an African league of random teams from each country if you want to test the water and not go hard on licensing many leagues, and then see where it takes them. As Ellis goes on to say, this would then help with the World Club Championship issue and making it more of a complete and real experience. Something that only Football Manager has managed to achieve thus far. I should probably note at this point that a lot of people were commenting about the Regen U system, but of course we did cover that afterwards, which is why I won't really be mentioning it here. But I have to say, it was without a doubt the number one suggestion from you guys, and it's clear where Konami need to focus on first. So that was just a small part of the suggestions that were brought forward. Just because this is the end of the series doesn't mean you should stop the comments coming in. Make sure to let me know what else you think can improve beyond what we've talked about in this series so far. There will be plenty more wishlist videos to come for both FIFA and Pro Evo 2020, so make sure to tune into those along the road. Go and check out my brand new FIFA 20 Ajax Career Mode series if you are yet to. Do be sure to drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already for more regular gaming content from the likes of PES, FIFA and more. On that note, it's time to end it here. I'm Brom18 and I'll see you soon.